Hello. I am Jessica Butts. Welcome to the Front Seat Life podcast, where I help you learn to be unapologetically who you are and live your life from the front seat through personal development, self-awareness, and real and raw conversations about life, love, and business. I'm a former psychotherapist and couples counselor turned author, speaker, coach, and lovingly, well, I hope so anyway, been nicknamed Jessica Kick Butts because I believe sometimes we need hand holding and sometimes we just need to be told the freaking truth, even if it hurts a little. So each week I'll be sharing truth bombs, life lessons, powerful interviews, and intuitive insights to empower you to get up, show up, and live your life in a new, powerful, authentic way. So if you're ready to climb into your front seat and embark on a journey of total transformation, you have come to the right place. Start your engines. Let's do this. Calling all you ambitious, overachieving, bossy, I can do it all. Don't bother me, I got this. Type A women, this podcast series, Healing the Hustle, is for you. Hey there, it's Jessica Butts, Front Seat Life all the way, same butt-kicky lady, just in a new chapter, and I'm so excited you're here. We're going to take a journey of healing the hustle as we are more than a year into a global pandemic. And let's be honest, we have all changed. It is time to acknowledge that, accept it, and start a new era of being our best selves without killing ourselves by getting off of the hamster wheel. We can still be our same awesome, ambitious, kick-ass selves while not buying into the BS of the hustle. I have found a new way, and I can't wait to share it with you. So let's start healing the hustle. Hello, Front Seat Lifers. It is Jessica. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Healing the Hustle series. This is number 5. Number 5 in the series already. Is it number 5 or is it number 4? Oh, wow. This is where things are at right now. I can't even keep track. So welcome back regardless. I am super excited to talk to you about this one. And let me just say, when I first started, if you've been following along, thank you so much. And I'm getting a ton of awesome messages from you guys. So thank you. I appreciate it very much. And when I first started the series, I knew the day would come, and it didn't take very long, where I would not necessarily stay on track per se as the book is going to be written. So I told you that I've got the book outlined. I've got summer school outlined, but my style, quite honestly, is when things are up for me or I feel like things are up in the universe, I always feel like it is time to talk about those. So I had a caveat that if I go out of order, I was just going to ask for some love and grace. So today I'm asking for some love and grace because this is quite a bit out of order in summer school. And in the upcoming Healing the Hustle book, this is going to be way later on, but it's very up for me right now as I'm sitting here recording this because I am selling my house. No, I'm not. I sold my house. I've sold my house in 2 days. And so today's episode could be called two different things. It could be called Keeping Up with the Joneses, which I think is what we're going to title this, Keeping Up with the Joneses. But it could also be called, which is too long of a title, I think, is There's a Hole in Your Bucket. And again, if you've been following along, you know that this is a theme, is there's a, filling the hole in your bucket, identifying the hole in your bucket, and then knowing there's a hole in your bucket. And today's theme is about knowing that there's a hole in your bucket around money. So buckle up. Money is a massive trigger point for most people. Some of you may absolutely hate this episode, and that's completely fine. But I just ask that you look at it in terms of why is it triggering you? So this probably would have been something, even a year ago that would have very much triggered me, because I was absolutely still in the hustle. I mean, I look back a year ago right now, I was at the tail end of the biggest launch I've ever had in terms of resources, like team members, financial effort. If we're talking like return on investment of money, resources, energy, all of the things that we put into a launch a year ago in April. It's staggering how far I've come in a year. So this is what we're going to be talking about today, is the money, keeping up with the Joneses, the thing that we do certainly as Americans in terms of our hustle and how we look external for things to fill us up. I've got a couple of stories about a recent, it was just yesterday, road trip I took with my mom. She shared a really powerful story with me, which I'm going to share with you. I've asked her permission and she said yes. I'm going to tell you why I sold my house, and we're going to jump into a bunch of other things. So let's get going. I sold my house for a lot of reasons. One is, the main reason is I realized I hope you guys are loving me with grace, because I am just keeping it real with you guys. I just was like, why hold anything back? I just need to be as vulnerable and honest as humanly possible, because why not at this point? So I sold my house because I realized I made a huge mistake in terms of I had built an S life for myself, a sensor life. So most of my listeners, most of my clients are intuitive types. And I want to be very clear, there is no judgment, right? My mom is a strong S. My sister is a strong S. I have a lot of love for S's. But as you know, my whole theme of, quite honestly, healing the hustle, don't do stuff you suck at for business, and front seat life is all about being unapologetically who we are. Period. End of story. That's all it is. And I realized I built a life that is more S. I needed to prove it to myself. I needed to prove it that I could. If you just heard a zipper, I'm taking off my jacket because I'm also perimenopausal and sweating profusely at the moment. I built this life that was not designed for me. So, this is the journey, not the destination, right? I knew that I did this 20 some years ago when I went into corporate America and got married and did this very S life that is not designed for me. As intuitives, we are always thinking about next. We are always thinking outside the box. We love living an unorthodox life. We like the woo. We like thinking about possibilities, what if. And so anytime intuitives feel stuck, held down, suppressed by money, a mortgage, a marriage, anything, it doesn't mean and let me be clear. Obviously, marriages can be absolutely fantastic. Relationships I'm in one now that can be absolutely fantastic, and freedom and all of those things. I'm just speaking about buying this house was something I needed to prove to myself. It was absolutely at the height of my hustle. I was making a ton of money when I bought this house. I was on this train that I have talked about. I'm going to talk a little bit about more today about this train that I was on in my business. I was just hiring people, and my business expenses were literally out of control. But I was on this train that I didn't know how to stop. Part of that was buying this house, getting this mortgage, it was just all the things, right? I mean, some of that was keeping up with the Joneses and realizing, oh my God, what have I done? Like I was keeping up with the entrepreneurial Joneses, which I've talked a tiny bit about. And keeping up with the entrepreneurial Joneses is I got to do all the things, right? I got to have an online program. I have to do Facebook ads. I have to have thousands of clients when I know personally my sweet spot is about 100 or even less. I mean, that is kind of my sweet spot and it's made me very happy and very successful. But I got into this whole, I drank the bullshit Kool-Aid. I'm doing this along with you. This is why I'm being so vulnerable and transparent, is telling you my ugly bits and telling you where I've made mistakes so that you hopefully don't make the same mistakes. And maybe you need to, because I also believe in making mistakes and then learning from them. But I have done the thing. I was keeping up with what you're supposed to do. And now looking back on it, I'm like, this is not at all my core values. And we're going to talk about this at the end when I give you some solutions to this keeping up with the Joneses problem. My number one core value has always been and likely will always be is freedom. And so any amount of tied downness I experience freaks me out. It literally makes me uncomfortable, physically, like I have a somatic response. And so I decided to sell my house. I thought about it for a while. I also live in Seattle. The housing market is insane. And I just thought the only thing I'm going to do is regret not taking advantage of this. I'm never going to regret leaping to the next thing. Like this is what I do as a human being. I have been programmed by God to be a leaper. Like as an ENFJ, this is what I do, what we do. If you're an ENFJ, we look at opportunities and we just leap. And this felt like one of those opportunities to say, okay, what's next, God? What's next? So that's my story of like keeping up with the hustle, keeping up with the entrepreneurial hustle of my business expenses were out of control. And quite honestly, my individual expenses were also out of control. So then what happens is that perpetuates the hustle. I, of course, then have to keep up with the hustle to maintain this mortgage that I decided, I mean, back then, well, let's get real. It's not that, well, I don't know. For some people, it's probably a lot, but whatever. It is what it is. And maintain this hustle to keep up with these business expenses that were out of control and tax payments that were out of control and a mortgage that was somewhat out of control. And that I don't want to do that anymore. I just simply realized this is absolutely part of the hustle, is keeping up with the Joneses of, oh, I'm supposed to buy a house. Like who fucking says? Who says? Why? I did it. I'm very proud of myself. It's the third house I've bought, but the very first house I bought all by myself, which I was very proud of. And now I'm realizing like that is not a reason to do something. Back then, it was great, and it just no longer serves me. Like, pat myself on the back. Good job. You did a thing. I'm super proud of myself. And what's next? So this is hopefully a story of two things. One is, where are things out of control and how can you change them? Because so often we human beings think, I can't do anything about it. That's bullshit. We can. I know families, not a person, but a married couple with kids that have just downsized. They travel, they live in vans, they do whatever. So this is just an opportunity to ask ourselves a lot of questions. But one of them is, how can I live the life that is meant for me? As an intuitive, as a woo, as someone who thinks outside the box. And again, this is no judgment. Like my mom and I on this 2-day road trip, we're talking about my wonderful sister. She's my best friend and a total S. And for her, she will probably live in her house for the rest of her life because as an S, it's very important to her. She is very loyal to those kinds of things. She is traditional. that kind of tradition, if you will, is very important to her. Like my mom talks about her will and that Erica gets this house up in Birch Bay. That's my mom's house because it's important to her. She has emotional memories. That is what is important to S's. What's important to intuitives is thinking outside the box, leaping, change, taking courageous action. It's just different. And there's no right or wrong. But when we start living lives, like if I was to ask an S to live the kind of life that I'm living, I mean, that's what I was married to, it is very uncomfortable for them. But now this is why this is important in relationships. This is why this is important in business, is understanding who we are so that we can communicate that. I was joking that I didn't tell my partner. I didn't ask. Let me just say that. I didn't seek out any input from my partner, from my mom, from my sister, or any of my best friends. I made the decision to sell my house on my own because I wanted and needed to trust my intuition. It doesn't mean that I don't respect and appreciate and love my friends and family's feedback, but part of healing the hustle is trusting our intuition and going inward. So I'm going to share a quick story about my mom and I on our trip. So she is an S and somebody who for years and years and years falls asleep to the TV being on, which is fine. A lot of people do that. But when we were traveling, we were both so exhausted. The first day is like a 16-hour day and we were both exhausted, and we got to the hotel and I just said, are you going to need to watch TV? Are you going to get on your phone, or can I just turn the lights out? And she said, just go ahead and turn the lights out because I'm so exhausted. And the next morning she told me that she had a really amazing experience. And of course I said, do tell. And she told me that she had this beautiful experience of feeling her body, having a somatic feeling of feeling her body fall asleep while also having a lot of thoughts. And she just described it as this really beautiful, like, dichotomy of feeling her body and also being aware of all of the thoughts that she was having. And she just said, it felt so good. And she said, do you ever experience that? And I was like, every day, every night, and also every day. And so we had this great conversation, and I asked her if I could share this story because I thought it was such a perfect example of part of what we're talking about with healing the hustle, which is we are constantly looking outside of the bucket to fill us up. We are so uncomfortable in our society to turn everything off and just listen. So we are constantly listening to podcasts or seeking others' opinions or on social media, constantly seeking outside validation, having the news on, falling asleep to the TV, getting up in the morning and immediately talking on the phone, or in my case, which is also part of this whole podcast today, is buying stuff, right? So part of me moving is I'm right sizing. I am downsizing, as my friend Debbie Rosemont says, I am right sizing for my life now. I bought this 3-bedroom house and I filled it. I filled it with tchotchkes and shit I don't need and this and that and the other. And I bought stuff and I filled it to the brim. I am one human being and I have a garage full of shit as well as a 3-bedroom house full of stuff. That is insanity. That is absolutely hustling, because when I now look at purging all of this stuff, all I see is money. All I see is keeping up with the Joneses. All I see is this ridiculous need to fill myself up with shit that I don't need. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. So my version of this outside thing was all the stuff, right? I sit quietly every single morning for multiple hours. I walk in silence. I very rarely listen to music. I absolutely almost never listen to podcasts. 90% of the time I am walking in silence so I can do what my mom was experiencing and hear my thoughts. What am I thinking? What I do is I think and feel, and then if I have an amazing idea or a thought, I put it into my phone, I dictate it so that I have it for later. And so my mom's version of this hustling, or I don't want to listen to myself, not really hustling, I guess. It was more of this filling the bucket, is having the TV on when she goes to bed, or as soon as she wakes up in the morning. And admitting, oh my God, if I had, I had this amazing experience, Jessica, do you experience that? And again, yeah, every day, because that is part of what I choose to do, is to get quiet. And we're going to be talking about in upcoming episodes what it means to heal that hole in your bucket, to heal the hustle, to stop the draining, right? For those of you who haven't listened to all of the episodes yet, the analogy is you have a bucket, which is you. And everybody has a different size hole in the bottom of their bucket. Some it might be a pin drop. Some there's no bottom at all. And so we are constantly looking outside of us with stuff, or keeping up with the Joneses, or over busy, or over ambitious, or I'm going to work out, or I got to do all the things, or I've got to enroll all my kids in all the things. And I am busy and I never stop, and I turn the TV on and I got to buy stuff and do stuff and bigger and better. And I need a new car, and where am I going to go, and all the things. And we are making ourselves crazy. We're making ourselves crazy. So part of what we've been talking about thus far is the nature piece, that there are personality types that inevitably are this way more than others. And then there is this nurture piece, which is this world that we live in, the keeping up with the Joneses and Instagram. I did it even last night. I got home from the drive. I was super exhausted for whatever reason. I started scrolling Instagram and I saw someone I admire very much, and they were just, doing all the things. And I actually started to do a comparison, and I just was like, stop it. Stop it. Why am I doing this? I am great just the way that I am. I have a lot going on in my life. I've got it right. I'm just admitting, I do it too. But the remedy is we have to stop looking outside ourselves with huge mortgages, or Target runs, or buying more shit, or having the TV on, whatever that stuff is. Building more, getting on this train that we can't afford, the expenses that go into the life that we choose to create in America is insane. It's the Joneses. And I personally am putting my frickin' money where my mouth is. And I just straight up sold my house. I am purging. I have cut my expenses by about 75%. And I am saving money like a crazy person. I'm investing like a crazy person. My new life goal, if I'm just being super honest, is to be a secret millionaire. I'm on my way, and I just want to have all these investments, and so there's no hustling needed. There is a better way to do this. And at some point, yes, there's a lot of people talking about having money. I believe that money can help you do good things, but you can also do it in a different way. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be poor. I am rich, if I'm being honest. I have wealth, but I want to create it in a new way so that I don't have to hustle. It doesn't mean that I'm not ambitious. I am doing a podcast at 9:00 in the morning. I am writing a book. I am still ambitious AF. And I want you to be ambitious AF, but there's a different way to do it. I am not suppressing who I am in any way. I am still an ENFJ. I have just decided the way to do it is different. I'm going into a launch right now that is it couldn't be more different than a year ago. So a year ago, I did a launch and I'm starting summer school on Monday. So for those of you who want to join me for summer school, it's super, super duper affordable. Come check it out on Monday. It's going to be epic. And I am doing it in the most healing the hustle way I could ever imagine. It is truly just a gift. And I'm doing it in an ENFJ way, meaning I'm still doing it. I'm super excited about it. It's going to be epic, but I'm also doing it more in the moment. So like these podcasts and the emails and the welcome sequence and the planning, all of that, so much more of it is coming from the heart and coming in the moment versus a very S way of planning it out and organizing it. Like, I had a director of operations a year ago and there was this like requirement to get all of this stuff done a month ahead of time. And I'm like, I don't work like that. Like as an intuitive, I am so much more about connection and in the moment and vulnerability. And for me, doing stuff way out there just cuts off the feeling. It cuts off the intuitiveness. It just isn't my way. And again, everybody's different. Like Amy Porterfield, she's all about batching and that works for her, but she's also an ISFJ versus somebody like myself as an ENFJ. So we've got to learn about like being unapologetically who we are, not suppressing it, but also making really clear that we don't get into not being unapologetically who we are, not doing it an S way. I mean, I'm totally embarrassed to realize like I did an S thing. I thought, I'm going to buy this house and maybe I'll even live here forever. And now 2.5 years later, almost 3 years later, I'm like, nope, totally doesn't serve me. I want to go travel around. I want freedom. I want to lock my door and leave. I want less expenses so I can spend that money and invest the shit out of it and travel and possibly do some van life stuff coming up. There's a lot of different things. So I want to leave you with a few questions and things to think about. And I do hope that Monday, you will join me on Instagram Live and or in the Front Seat Squad Facebook group, which is free. I'm going to do a 10-day challenge and there's going to be a very simple, I'm not going to overcomplicate it or, make it too difficult, but every day there will be a healing the hustle challenge, one thing a day that I'm going to ask you to do. And so one of those things now is a couple of questions to ask yourself is, I guess this isn't a question, it's more of a statement, is your life can look however you want. So have you in any area of your life, whoopsie-daisily, accidentally built it in a way that is not who you are? Just like I have. All right. Got married to the wrong person, got into corporate America, did the thing, ended up buying this house. And it doesn't mean that it can't be switcherooed. So where in your life have you possibly oopsie-daisied it? And I did that with the online programs and those kinds of things. Like I've made mistakes absolutely along the way. I've built a model that was more like introverted in thinking and I am extroverted feeling. I love to connect with my clients. I want to see you. I want to know what's going on with you. I want to help you. And this online model that I built, I was like, this is not me. So that was a mistake. Buying this house is a very S way of living that doesn't serve me either. So it doesn't mean that we don't make mistakes, but it allows us to say, okay, how can I remedy this? How can I fix this? Because if I know anything, some of the biggest joyful moments in my life and biggest learning lessons in my life have come from times when I have gotten quiet, right? Turned off the news, turned off all the input, stopped listening to everybody else, and I shut up and I listened to my intuition. And when my intuition or God, whatever you believe in, I believe in both, that when it speaks to you and tells you what to do, because it will, that you take action. And sometimes, like in the case of my house, I took action in a week. And sometimes in leaving my marriage, it took 5 or 6 years. And in changing my business model, it took a year. So there's no rules on how long it takes, but when you start to take action, the universe can respond. Because all I know is when we stay the same, nothing can change. We end up in this hamster wheel of why the fuck isn't this working, right? Over and over and over and over and over. Isn't that the definition of insanity? Is when you do the same thing over and over again and you expect different results? So I try to stay in this house and I'm like, why do I not feel free? Why do I not want to jet set? Blah, blah, blah. Or why is this? I'm going to keep beating I don't like that term. You keep beating up the same thing, trying to have different results. I keep trying to make this online business model work when I realize it does not serve me. It does not serve me. So what in your life does not serve your personality type? What in your life does not serve your personality type? Number 2 would be looking at your core values. If you have not yet done that, you can go to jessicabutts.com/core values and take that. Because knowing that I am an ENFJ and knowing that my number 1 core value, actually my top 2 core values are freedom and independence. So I don't like to be told what to do ever. And I also want to be free. And to me, freedom is not being tied down to a mortgage, not as a single person having to worry about shit going wrong in my house. The freedom of just being able to up and go, that feels right to me. And again, this is not for everybody. We just have to know who we are. For a lot of SJs, it's security. And so my life to an SJ is utterly terrifying. And that's okay. That's okay. I'm not judging them and hopefully they're not judging me. We are just different. We have to understand that. My mom is being incredibly supportive. So is my sister. They're both SJs and God bless them. Neither one of them is probably telling me what they really think, which is, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? They're just loving me along the way and saying, this is who you are. And I love it. And you're 47 years old. You're a baller ass bitch. You can do whatever you want in your life. And this is how I make things happen, is by switching it up. Okay. So figuring out your core values. And then last question would be, when is enough enough? When is enough enough? When is enough shit in your house enough? When is enough podcasts enough? When is enough TV enough? When is enough money enough? We get into keeping up with the Joneses. Is this house isn't enough? This car isn't good enough. My hair's not good enough. My body's not good enough. My whatever is not good enough. We live in this perpetual, I gotta do more. I gotta be thinner or fitter or happier or have more money or more clients. I mean, straight up, at some point thinking 1,000 clients is better than 100 clients. Why? It's not. It's a completely different business model, but I got wrapped up in that bullshit and it's not true. By the way, there's a lot more coming on the business side of this, but I'm trying to keep this more to life stuff, but that's not true. 1,000 clients is not better. It's not. It's not, because it doesn't necessarily, 100 clients at a certain price point and 1,000 clients at a certain price point, those can be the same amount of money. It's just, right, we got to think outside the box. Bigger and more is not better. It's just not. So I think that's it for today. My God, I get fired up about these. It's so fun doing this and just letting it kind of unfold. So I hope that you are enjoying this. I hope that you are. Thank you. I guess I'm not. It's nothing about, I hope. I just thank you for allowing me grace to kind of let this unfold as it is. I really appreciate all of the messages. I certainly appreciate some, 5-star reviews over on iTunes. I appreciate all the shares on Instagram. We are opening summer school on Monday. So I am simultaneously doing a 10-day challenge as well as opening up summer school. The landing page will be done on Monday. And well, it's actually done now, but we will be opening it on Monday. So stay tuned on Instagram, stay tuned on, Facebook. If you're not on my email list, make sure you go over to jessicabutts.com and get on that. Day one is obviously, as always, the best bonus possible. And I'm not, there's all this bullshit about, it's not bullshit. There's all this stuff about bro marketing. And I think I'm just going to be transparent about why you put the best bonus at first. This is the anti-bro marketing. I'm just going to tell you why, is because it lets me as an entrepreneur know how this launch is going to go. Day one tells you. And so that's why you put your best bonus first. It's super freaking helpful as an entrepreneur to know, okay, are 10 people going to sign up or 100 people are going to sign up? And quite honestly, day one tells you that. And that's why you put your best bonus forward. So suck it, bro marketing. I just told you the secret as to why we do that. It's for our own sanity. So we don't stress the fuck out for 2 weeks wondering, oh my God, is anybody going to enroll? And so day one is what tells you. So lovingly, if you're listening now and you like me and you want to save my sanity, I'm going to give you a killer bonus to sign up day one so that I don't have to go crazy. That's all there is to it. And the last day, because it's also like, oh God, this is your last chance. Get your booty in here. So what I would ask for you, if you've been a long-term listener and you know you're going to join, is go grab a friend. It's literally it's not half the price. It's super affordable. It's $497 for the 8 weeks. You bring in a friend at $197. That way it's only $350. I mean, come on, $350 for 8 weeks. I'm trying to make this like a no-brainer. And if you sign up on Monday, you get a free Myers-Briggs assessment, which is a $97 value. So, I mean, that's just kind of a no-brainer. So that's my sales pitch. Because I don't really do a sales pitch. I just invite you because you know by now if it's resonating with you or not. So, all right, my loves, I'm going to go move. I mean, this is crazy time over here. I am doing a kind of anti-healing the hustle. I am moving. I've got some family stuff going on for sure. Just moved my mom back. But I am sleeping a lot. I promise I'm taking care of myself, and I will see you guys hopefully on Monday in signing up for summer school. And if you are just a listener and are doing that, I love you as well. And I will see you back here on Friday for episode number 6. I think this might be 4. I've lost track. Okay. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Thanks for listening. From the bottom of my heart, truly, thank you so much for listening. I know that you have a ton of options, and the fact that you are taking time to listen to the Front Seat Life podcast means absolutely everything to me. If you're interested in learning more about the Front Seat Life way of life in the community, you can find out all about that at jessicabutts.com. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time. The bottom of my heart, truly, thank you so much for listening. I know that you have a ton of options, and the fact that you are taking time to listen to the Front Seat Life podcast means absolutely everything to me. If you're interested in learning more about the Front Seat Life way of life in the community, there's a couple ways that you can do that. First is always starting with your personality assessment tool. It's available on my website at jessicabutts.com. It's totally free, and it will help you figure out your personality type so you'll have some idea of what we're talking about. Next is, if you're interested in hiring me for a keynote or some coaching or strategy days or the fabulous and amazing Front Seat Life community, you can find out all about all of that at jessicabutts.com. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.